This episode is brought to you by United Airlines. When you want to make the most of your vacation, book with United. They're an airline that cares about your travels as much as you do. United is transforming the flying experience with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to help fit everyone's bag. And with their app, you can skip the bag check line, get live updates, and more. Change the way you fly. Book your next trip today at united.com.
How do custom orders work on Kraken? Imagine I'm a music producer, dialing in my newest track. Need more bass? Crank it. Vocals not popping? Double it up. Want a bigger sound? Hit that reverb. Hard. That's custom orders on Kraken. Complete control over your crypto trades. Go to Kraken.com and see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payword Interactive Inc. View PWI's disclosures on Kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
Welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, self-care coach for women who are ready to make self-care a priority to support them in life and business. Every week, I'll be speaking with inspiring women from various walks of life who will share their personal journeys and will discover how they have fearlessly carved their own paths as business owners, passionately pursuing their dreams and creating a meaningful impact on their communities. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, and I am super excited to be speaking with my next guest. Today, we're talking with Andra Annette. Andra is a renowned health advocate, best-selling author, speaker, TV host, and YouTube partner with a background in nursing and holistic practices, specializing in leaky gut syndrome, thyroid issues, and weight loss. Recognized in worldwide leaders in healthcare, she promotes a holistic approach to health, emphasizing nutrition, daily movement, and informed living. Through her platforms, Andra provides insights, advice, and inspiration, advocating for personalized care and empowering individuals to achieve better health and wellness. I am excited to have Andra on the show today and equally excited that we'll get to dive into more about what she does. So let's get started. Welcome, Andra. I'm excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. That was a very elaborate introduction. Wow. Mouthful.
Well, there's so many layers to Andra, and we're going to get into that. But first, tell us a little bit about Andra the woman, a peek behind the scenes of the personal side of your story, and then we'll dive into what you're currently doing today.
Well, most of my life really is my work. I love it. And it's what I do for enjoyment as well. So most people are out doing things on the weekends, and I'm out working on the weekends by choice. I go into communities that are underserved and I provide service so that they can have a day of rest and not worry about taking care of a sick child and spend time with the rest of their family, or not be the caretaker for a day and know that those needs are being met by somebody else. So my private life has really become more about building my business and getting people back to health. I think we've gotten away from that. And it became more important to me when I was on the front lines. I couldn't be with my family after work. I was on the front lines and I didn't want to get them sick. So I did spend a lot of time on social media. I took classes, I did all kinds of things. And I really saw what they were selling out there for health. And I was a little appalled by it, honestly. So I said, well, I can help more than that. And I said, well, why aren't I? So I kind of called myself out on it. And I just showed up one day. I showed up as Ask the Nurse because people needed answers and they weren't getting that. And my groups did really well and people did ask. So, I have a family, my husband, the girls are grown. I have a dog that I love. I love reading and learning. I'm an avid learner. I think you could never expand your knowledge enough. That's really what I do in my spare time. I spend time with friends and family when I'm not working.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on the learning part. I think when you are learning, you're growing. And I think it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be like full on, immersing yourself in self-development books all the time. But I think even just learning about other people. That's kind of what I love about having people like yourself on the podcast is I learn more and more about each of my guests when we get talking about what they do. And that's what we're going to segue into now. So can you explain how your holistic approach to health, combining nutrition, movement, and mindfulness differs from conventional medical practices?
I think that as a nurse, it's taught to us in the very beginning that we're not treating the illness, that we're treating the whole body. Even from the time I was a small child, I was very perceptive of what people felt. I knew when something was off. I had that sense with animals, and I've always had that sense with people. It used to bother me because I could look at someone and knew they were sick and knew where in the body they were. It was odd if I didn't go into there because the senses I got were so strong. And we do treat the whole body. And that's kind of what made me want to come forward because people are talking about niching down and otherwise you'll lose your market. And you really can't treat individual parts because they really are connected. That emotional, that physical, that spiritual, they are connected. And this is coming from someone who's been in healthcare for 40 years. Nothing happens in your body until it happens in the mind. If you don't believe that you can achieve that weight loss or you can reverse that disease process, then it's off the table for you because you've already determined your outcome. But if you approach things in a holistic way and say, well, this is possible, even if it's never been done before, if you believe that there's a chance and you hold on to that chance and that hope, it can be done. A lot of people told me I couldn't do what I was attempting to do in my own body. And I said, well, how would you know what I'm capable of? And I just kept at it. A lot of years I was misdiagnosed and I am in healthcare and people just weren't listening. And it was disturbing to me when my mother would go to the doctor and she'd come home more confused. They weren't explaining it. And doctors really don't teach the nutrition aspect because we work in the medical field, we work as a multidisciplinary team. So there's always someone that's a dietitian, there's nutrition, there's different levels. There's PT, there's OT, there's physiologists, there's psychiatrists. So there's always different parts of the team and we combine the expertise and we come up with a care plan for that person. But we do, as nurses, we do have to know all of those parts where the doctors are only dealing with the specialty that they're there for, right? So I think my approach is different because I do know that the mind plays a big part in this. Most of the people that come to me have lost their self-confidence. They've had some kind of trauma that makes them feel like they're not capable of achieving those results, or they've given up because they've tried so many other things that really weren't geared towards them. They were multifaceted towards a real broad, generic, lifestyle. Health has to be tailored to the individual. People have different genetics. People have different habits. No two people are at the same place at the same time. So you can't take a broad diet like keto or Atkins or any one of those diets and give it to someone and expect that they're all going to have the same results. You do have to take into account their genetics, their underlying disease processes or comorbidities, and how what you are doing with their nutrition might impact that. If people are on cholesterol meds, they can't have grapefruit. So would you prescribe a grapefruit every day? No. So you really do have to get to know the person on a real intimate level. I think that's why I've always been so grateful for my job. People come to us at the most humbling parts of their lives and they invite us in to help. That's an honor that they pick us and say, okay, I do need your help. And they accept that help. And they're willing to work with us to get those outcomes. So for me, that holistic approach is really encompassing all of that. None of my clients have the same thing going on with them. I hear people tell me that they don't know how to put themselves first. They've never put themselves first. I have clients that are holding on to traumas from when they were a kid, that based on their behaviors around food, what they were taught, and people hold on to that. We have a lot of emotional eating going on. There's a lot of emotions ranging in society in America today. And most people are emotional eating. We're taught to be celebratory eaters. It's Christmas. Let's make some cookies. It's your birthday. Let's have cake. So we do have to kind of segue to a place where we're not eating because of our feelings. We're eating because of our hunger quotient and our body's telling us, I need, not that we're just filling. So a lot of times for myself, when I was on that journey, I didn't feel full in all the areas of my life. And I think that food was a way of feeling full and satisfied to me. I did have a lot of sicknesses going on that weren't making it easier. As a nurse, a lot of times we couldn't get into the bathroom. We were so busy, never mind eating regular meals. So a lot of the things that I'm helping my clients with today were things that I wasn't doing for myself. And I think what makes me unique is because I did walk that journey. People can't tell me you don't know how hard it is. I know exactly how hard it is. It takes a lot of work to lose 160 pounds, right? I lost 126 of that in under a year, and I just kept going. But when I looked in that mirror, I hated the me that was staring back. And it wasn't just about doing exercise and eating food. There was a lot of things I was holding on to, a lot of hurt, a lot of anger from the past. And that was showing up in my now world, right? So I had to do that inner work.
I'm glad that you brought up the inner work because I think that, again, that whole approach to health, self-care to me is healthcare, is self-care. It embodies everything. And I think like you bringing that up about the mindset part of it, how we think and how we feel about ourselves. Again, looking at yourself in the mirror and not liking the woman or loving the woman staring back at you, there's healing there as well in order for those other things. So I want to go back into your expertise. Specifically, you specialize in leaky gut syndrome, thyroid issues, and weight loss. What are some common misconceptions about these conditions that you encounter?
Well, a lot of people don't understand the impact of the gut and the thyroid, that they work together. So there's a lot of people giving credit to the gut for what really is thyroid's role and vice versa. So they do work together. We hear a lot about the gut brain axis, but there is a gut thyroid axis, there is a gut skin axis. So there's different pathways in the body, and you do know how to trace them. You have to. Otherwise, you're not helping. You can actually cause more harm than good. But a lot of people just don't believe that changing your diet is enough, that mindset plays a role in health. A lot of people think that if they just eat all the right foods, that they have a better chance of not getting sick. And that's not true. You can do everything right and still get sick. Certain people have different genes in their family, and that's their predisposition. So the eating well and the exercising is to help ensure that those outcomes don't happen, because those are your destiny if you're not taking care of yourself today. So gut health really is connected. You hear science say it's to about 85% of the body, but gut health is connected to 100% of everything. Inadvertently or advertently, it's connected. If you're not absorbing and digesting your food, then you're not getting any of the nutrients, right? You're not passing it out of your body. So your mouth to your anus is your digestive tract. And I have people that have GERD, that have IBS, and they tell me they don't have a digestive issue. Really? So I think that there's a lot of misconceptions just about what the digestive tract really is and how much of a role it plays in your life. But even things like drinking water, people don't believe that it can have a major impact on your health. But everything that happens in your body happens in more. So of course it does, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And thyroid, I think, is very underserved in general. It is your cognitive function. It is your heart function. It's grossly misdiagnosed. Something like 25 to 40 million people in America have a thyroid disease. More than half of them are undiagnosed. And even when they're diagnosed, they're kept subtherapeutic because doctors are concerned about the medications having an impact on their heart function or their bones. But those implications are there anyway. So it doesn't matter if you're on 85 milligrams or 125 milligrams, those are still risk factors for you. So you may as well live a quality of life on the right medication than a sub quality life on the wrong medication. I actually had a really large fight with my doctor about that. I don't make thyroid anymore. I have autoimmune thyroid. They wanted to keep me subtherapeutic, and I said, I'm not having it. I said, I want you to go home and tell your wife that you can't give her money because you might invest it in 10 years. I said, how good would your marriage be? He said, probably not well. I said, so then don't worry about what's going to happen to me in 10 years. I'm in your office now. Treat me now. And he said, okay, Miss Annette. And a lot of people don't understand doctors are people, and you just have to tell them that you understand the risks and it's your body. And I want to be treated fairly, just like everybody else. You have to ask those questions because they're not going to be spurting out answers if you're not asking. And if you don't understand, make sure you don't let that doctor leave until you get your questions answered. It's a business, just like anything else, and you're entitled to those answers. And a lot of times people will go to the doctor with half the puzzle. They're having 10 symptoms and they'll go with the 3 that are bothering them the most, right? So you have to really paint that whole picture for them. Even if it seems really small or really insignificant, it's a major piece in that puzzle that could really make or break you getting diagnosed or not, right? So I was able to trace what was going on. When I had leaky gut, nobody was talking about it. And I had been going to the doctors for at least a decade and nobody was helping me. Constipation was uncomfortable, to say the least. I would go to the bathroom maybe once every 2 weeks. My stomach would pop out like I was 6 months pregnant, and one day and the next day I'd be flat as a board, and nobody could tell me what was going on. They kept telling me my thyroid was normal and it wasn't. So if I didn't know the test, if I wasn't in a position to understand the mechanisms of the test and what really needed to be drawn, I might still be having that fight today. But I found a doctor that I worked with for a long time, and he trusted my judgment. He said, if you say there's a problem, I'm sure there is. All right, I'll do those tests.
Yeah.
And he
I love
did.
how you did that. Yeah, I love how you brought that to your doctor. Like you're saying, it's just having those conversations and pushing back and just not necessarily not taking no for an answer, but it's really just like you said, I feel a certain way. I want you to treat me today, how I'm feeling today, not 10 years down the road. And so I want to segue this in now with you and your clients. Can you share an inspiring story from your practice where you've worked with someone and they dramatically improved their health and wellness through your guidance?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I've helped over 500,000 people just in nursing alone. But I think the best story that I feel the best about is someone came to me, and it wasn't that they needed to lose a lot of weight. That wasn't the main issue, but they were misdiagnosed. They thought they had hyperthyroidism, and I could look at them and tell them, no, no, you don't. You just, but you can't go to that point. You have to get them ready for that because they were misdiagnosed, which means they're taking medication they really didn't need, but they were having so much trouble with self-doubt and self-esteem, and they were holding on to so much hurt and so much anger from the past that the weight wasn't even the issue. It was the feelings and the turmoil that was going on inside that was really causing all of those problems that, like I was saying before, the mind really, it really does have control over what happens now. And we would have meetings, and I have to talk about those things with people because I need to know what they're holding on to, if they're holding on to hurt. It could have been somebody as a child that was told, or picked on, right? They were picking on a child and tormenting this poor child when they were little. And somewhere in their heart, they felt if I was bigger, they wouldn't be able to do that. So they're psychologically setting themselves up to be that bigger person, and it's taking on a different form in their now life because they might still feel very small in their world. It sounds ridiculous, but she was holding on to a lot of hurt from a parent that had died and a lot of feelings about a parent that was still alive. And I suggested that she write a letter to the one that was dead. I said, you can still share those feelings and get them out and really let him know how that impacted you as a child, what it made you feel like and what you needed and how you didn't feel supported. And I made her write one to the mother as well. And she was having some issues in her marriage too. So I helped her find her voice to really express herself about her needs because she was that yes woman. And I was a yes person for a long time. And one of the best things that I did for myself was say, no, I don't have that time. No, because it gave me so much of my time. So it took steps to get to that. But then the weight loss was exponential because then she started really caring about her appearance. That self-esteem came back and she started saying, well, if I feel this good on the inside, I want the outside to match. So it could be that they come to me with the outside they're not happy about, and we work on the inside so that they match because they do need to match. The inside needs to match the outside. You need to feel good about yourself to want to look good for yourself. Right. And a lot of people don't see that connection, but they do go together. If you don't care about how you look, there's usually something going on, some kind of depression, and gut health. There's a lot of depression and a lot of fatigue. But a lot of people don't understand is because of the connection with the gut and the thyroid, that if you have a gut problem, you already have a thyroid problem. So because your gut is now impacting the function of your metabolism, it is. So you might not be at that point where you need medication, but if we don't intervene and fix the issue, you have to find out where it started, whether it originated in the thyroid or originated in the gut. And if you don't reconnect those systems, then you are going to get exponentially worse because those are the two major vital systems in your body. It's responsible for your breathing, for crying out loud, right? And your gut's connected to your heart and your cognition, and so is your thyroid. That's your cognitive value. But she went on to lose a significant amount of weight, and her marriage is much better because she cares more about herself. People think it's just about yourself. It's not. You show up. I mean, and you know this because you're a self-care specialist. Was I showing up in my marriage when I didn't feel good about myself? No. Was I at my optimal performance at work? On my worst day, I was better than most. But was I showing up optimally and giving 100%? No. I wasn't giving 100% anywhere in my life back then. And it affected my relationships. I used to make up excuses why I couldn't go to engagements because I didn't want to go in the dressing room to try on clothes. I started trying everything around my neck because your neck and your waist are the same size. And you do odd things. I would start a fight with my husband before we had an event, deliberately start a fight so I didn't have to go because I didn't feel good and I didn't want to go out and talk to people and they say, how you doing? Because it didn't matter what was going on in my exterior world. Inside, I didn't feel whole. I felt bankrupt. And that's what I spend a lot of time working on people because they do have some kind of trauma, some kind of hurt that they're holding on to. Not a lot of people get into a body of 300 pounds that feel really good about themselves unless there's an illness going on. And because of my knowledge of the body, I mean, I've been working in the body for 40 years now. If there's an illness, I can help with that. So we can definitely define a diet if they have heart disease or diabetes and weight loss. We can do it all.
Yeah, I love how again, it's all about that emotional healing as well as physical healing. And yes, the spiritual healing plays a part as well. But I just love how you bring those two, the emotion, the mind, and the body. I've heard it said before that our gut is like our second brain because, like you're saying, it's affecting other parts of our body. So now I want to ask you about future trends. So you have extensive experience. You've said 40 years as a nurse. You've been working on the body for 4 decades. What have you seen that's coming up? Like any emerging trends do you see could be shaping or are shaping the future of health and wellness?
I think that more people are going to be looking for that help outside of healthcare. I think that, and I haven't been a nurse for 40 years. I've been in healthcare. I've done all kinds of other things.
Okay.
So I don't think there has been a lot of transparency in healthcare. So I think there's a lot of distrust with doctors. And unfortunately, that's the case because it has become more of a business than about the person that we swore to protect. So I think that we're going to see a lot more people online doing more of that healing. I think a lot of doctors and people that have had it with the politics of health will be coming out. I see a lot of that now. I see a lot of nurses online. I see a lot of psychiatrists online, psychologists online. But I think we're going to go up and down again. I think that COVID really scared a lot of people, and rightfully so. And I think a lot of people took the initiative to want to take back their health, to get more invested, to be more inquiring about what they're putting in their body. A lot of them are out there using Google like it's their best friend. So, but you're always going to find that. But I think that people start to settle and they forget and they fall back into those patterns because they're not consistent in those actions. And unfortunately, they're going to continue to need that help. There's a lot of people that are looking for that quick fix. Everybody wants fast, right? So unfortunately, those things that are fast are not long lasting. My mother used to tell me when I was a kid, it was the best advice anybody gave me. If you do things half-assed the first time, you're just going to have to go back and do it again. So do it right the first time. Because if you spend, I was one of those people that did the Jenny Craig, did the Weight Watchers, did all that before I knew what was going on. I looked to other people. And one day I said, smarten up. What are you doing? You know this stuff. How are those results going? They're not, right? So, but I want it fast too. And I mean, that's just who we are as a society. I was no different. I'm no better than anybody else. It's that culture that as we move forward in technology, now they're having all these medications. So I think a lot of people are on that medication bandwagon. And like any new medication that comes on the market, they really don't know the effects that it's going to have. But I'm not an advocate one way or the other for the Medicaid. I'm not against it. I'm kind of level where that's it for. I think that if people have really tried everything and they haven't been able to do it on their own, rather than go have surgery and open themselves up and put themselves at further risk for infection, that if they can take a medication that's going to help them, that's fine. But I think that they need to have that teaching with it to understand the nutrition concept, to understand the lifestyle, not just going to a doctor, getting a pill and leaving. They need to have counseling on how they're going to really keep this, because getting it is one thing, keeping it is another. So I lost that weight well over a decade. I've never gained it back because I took the time to do it right the first time. And I wasn't someone who would have guessed that the road was going to be as hard as it was. I couldn't touch my toes when I started. When I was that athletic girl in college. But so it was rough, but it was more of an emotional ride because I did find myself emotionally eating all the time and not understanding where those emotions were coming from. And I had to ask myself all the time, are you hungry? Why are you eating then? You know, So there's a lot of emotions with it, but I think the trends are going to be a new diet trends. I don't think that nutrition has really changed a lot in the last 20 years. Really, they used to say that half your plate should be fruits and vegetables. Now it's more like three quarters. But other than that, nothing really's changed. The diet's changed, the names changed, but the system is built not to support the individuals. It's really a corrupt system. I don't think it's meant to support basic Joes out there, people that don't understand the science.
Mhm.
And I think I think it needs to be more transparent.
Yeah. So what would you say then to someone who's looking to take a more active role in their health and wellness journey?
But they should really do that research and look at the best evidence practice. You know, they have access to it. As nurses, we do everything evidence based. So we have access to it. The public has access to those records. They can do the same research we can. But really, if they're not sure if something's right for them, they should ask a doctor. I hear people say the most bizarre things online, Leslie, and it really just stops me dead in my track. People telling people to drink salt water, you know, that your body's mostly salt. How many people could die from that knowledge if they actually listen to that? There's people out there with salt imbalances like Meniere's disease. There's people out there with hypertension that can send their blood pressure through the roof, kidney function, liver function problems. It can kill so many people. So you can't just put blatant information out there without looking it up yourself. There's a lot of people online that are coaches that really do have so much knowledge and they really do want to help. But there are other people that really just are interested in the money and they're not here to serve. They're here to serve themselves. And they put a lot of misinformation out there, which causes more confusion in the market. So my advice to them would to be look for something that's consistent, to look to the trends that are consistent, like what people are eating for their gut, how they're keeping their thyroid healthy, you know, what exercises are best. People go to the gym and spend hours in the gym. You can do a hit exercise in 7 to 10 minutes and get the same results. Why waste 2 hours in the gym? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Not for me anyway. I want my time. So I think that you have to be an informed consumer. Even there's so many things out there disguised as healthy that really aren't healthy when you sit and you read those labels. There's so much additives and different names for sugars and red dye and yellow dye. How do you digest yellow dye, red dye? What is that doing for your body? It's not. So the closer you get to, I don't like to come across as religious, but I am. I'm more spiritual than I am religious. But everything that was here when we got here was all we needed. God provided us with everything that we needed right here. It's us that took it for greed to make it, you know, we needed more. Let's add things like fillers so we can sell it in bulk. So as things expanded, we entered into that situation because we live in ego. We don't live on a spiritual plane, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Andra, it has been such a delight having you on the show today and exploring your knowledge. You are like a vast well, I could say, of knowledge. And I love your passion for healthcare because you really do care. I know you personally, I've known you for a while, and I really believe that what you do, what you put out into the world, you really care about someone individually, whether you know them personally or this is someone that is reading your posts or watching your videos. You really truly want them to succeed and taking care of themselves. So I really love that. Thank you so much. I'm going to make sure to include everything, all your contact details in the show notes so our listeners can discover more about your work and perhaps even embark on their own path to better health with your support. Everything that you've shared today is bound to motivate our audience to consider their health in a more holistic and proactive manner. So thank you again so much for spending time with me and for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking with you.
And to our listeners, remember, taking control of your health is a powerful step toward living a fulfilled life. With experts like Andra leading the way, you're never alone on this journey toward achieving wellness and vitality. So take those insights, apply them to your life, and always remember the importance of nurturing both your mind and your body. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep designing your extraordinary life one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on Her Extraordinary Life by Design. I hope you've been inspired and empowered by the incredible stories shared on this show. If you enjoyed this episode and the conversations we've had, I would greatly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback and support mean the world to me, and it will help others discover the podcast and join our empowering community. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Together, we can continue to learn from these amazing women, uncover their extraordinary journeys, and be motivated to create our own lives by design. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, stay empowered and keep shaping your extraordinary life one day at a time.
Dreaming of the perfect event or longing for a clutter-free space? I'm Stephanie with I'm with Steph, where your vision becomes a reality. From magical weddings to transformative home organizing, we bring you expertise and passion to every project. Whether you're planning a grand celebration or seeking peace through organization, we tailor our services to meet your unique needs. I'm with Steph. To explore our services and connect with me directly, visit imwithsteph.com. Mention Electricast for a 20% discount.
Hey, heard you like podcasts. Well, check out Dollar Bets. Two sports guys with faces for radio, betting live money against each other on air. That's Dollar Bets with a Z. Find us on the Winner's Edge.
Electricast.